Everybody say it mean.
Who's that out there living the dream? Let's blow in the bean. Who's that still smoking all that green? Let's blow in the bean. Come on, y'all, let me hear you scream. Let's blow in the bean. Let's blow in the bean. Let's blow in the bean. Go.
Welcome back, y'all. We've been hitting it hard. There's been some feelings hurt. Little bit of polymalinaji we talking about here at Lab B right away.
I think we should just tell our audience the best news first. Well, it's not. It depends on who you are.
Yeah, well, if you're the bean, it's the best news you probably could have heard in your life. If you did listen to our last show, which I'm sure you did, you heard us breaking it down how you're going to have to get around meeting with family and big events. And we had a pretty good game plan set up for you so that you would be able to win and be able to watch the fights by strategically planning out your day. So a miracle happened and friends got sick and plans got canceled and your boy's watching the fight.
He was going to have to go to a grandma birthday if you didn't hear.
Exactly. So now we get to watch the biggest event of all time and not have to sneak it or try to get people tired. I'm going to be able to do what I want all day and get ready and primed for the fight, which is going to be the main topic. We'll probably get into that later in the show. There's been so much going on in the fight community that I think we can start anywhere and just be like, there's finishes going on left and right with LFA, RFA, the Contender Series, fights being made, fights being dropped, people being popped, not popped. I mean, where do you want to take this thing?
Let's talk about fights being made.
Woo! Do you have a good one? Because I could go. I got a couple. What's the let's not say the favorite because everyone knows the favorite. What's the under fight that you've seen lately that you're kind of like thinking is a fun one as a
Kevin Lee, Tony Ferguson?
Well, that's probably a main event. But I agree. That is a fun fight. Even though I'm a little hesitant on this,
it's not my most exciting fight. You told me to give you one in the mid.
That's a good point.
Even though I think it's obviously a main event. It's
a main event.
It's a pay-per-view, maybe a co-main on a pay-per-view, just because both these guys are building steam, but they're more MMA fan favorites, more so than world-known favorites, but they both have skill set to be world-known favorites. And they both have good personalities. Tony's a little corny. They're both really corny. This is the battle of the corn.
What I don't agree is the level of competition. I don't feel like Lee personally has the right to be there against Tony Ferguson for the interim belt. I just don't feel like Kevin Lee has earned the interim belt contendership, where I feel like there's other fighters in the division that have. I know Khabib has been out, so of course he's out of it, and that's the whole reason that this fight came up. Apparently they asked him, are you going to be ready? And the Eagles said he wasn't. So you don't show up to fight day, you ain't the baddest man on the planet. Just the way it is.
And I know people hate when I say this. Khabib isn't the baddest man on the planet. He beat Michael Johnson, who was number 8 at the time, and went to the number 1 contender over Tony Ferguson.
Yeah.
Tony Ferguson's beat 11 guys in
on a 20-fight win streak
in the 155.
Yeah. He's had
insane.
20 fights in the UFC or something.
So I feel like, and I even agree with Kevin Lee that he says he feels like Tony Ferguson is the real champion of the division anyway.
I agree with that. And I love the way that Tony Ferguson's coming at it because he's being very confident, but he's not being foolish. He's saying, Tony Ferguson has got weird angles. He's got stuff that people don't... Kevin Lee is saying that about Ferguson, that I was listening to a show with Kevin Lee talking about his game plan against Ferguson and just saying, like, I'm going to take it back to the basics, which is a really good way to go. And he's like, let him do all that rolling stuff. Elbows will stop all of it. And I say, please, Kevin Lee, do it. Not because I want Tony Ferguson to lose that fight, because I want him to win that fight, but if you're that level of a fighter that you can drop those knees at those or elbows at those angles and win the fight, you should win the fight. Do it. We'll see when the fight day comes. We'll see what. Yeah, that's the beauty of this sport is. You can talk a lot of game, but eventually that door closes, and you got a freaking Mexican Tasmanian devil in there with you.
I think Tony Ferguson is the baddest 155er on the planet. That is my personal opinion. There might be people who agree with me. There might be people who will say Conor. There might be some who say Khabib.
Yeah.
That's it. Who else is coming? Well, you know who's coming up in that division? He just beat Michael Johnson. We like him. Gaethje.
Yeah.
He's interesting.
But he's on the show with Eddie Alvarez. They're starting to tape the 120 or the 125 division.
It bums me out a little bit, but I guess it's as good a gatekeeper as any for Gaethje to go through. I just believe Eddie is kind of at the end of his rope, and I don't think he needs a war against a guy like Gaethje.
Yeah, I don't know if Eddie Alvarez will ever reach his championship level again, but he's had a very long career, and yeah, I agree.
I like Alvarez Gaethje, though. I like that.
It's a fun fight. It's a fun fight, but what we just saw recently with Alvarez, Gaethje is going to come at him and just finish him immediately if Alvarez doesn't.
Is proven to be chinny now.
Exactly. Well, not now. He's been hurt in every fight. It's just most people weren't able to put him away. He was able to regroup, but he's like a Frankie Edgar. Frankie Edgar, now, I'd say, doesn't have the best chin, but what he gets you with is he doesn't let you hit their chin. He's on your legs and putting you on the ground before you can hit that chin. Greg Maynard just did that. So it's just a different style, but Gaethje has used stuff against that. That has been fun. So there's a ton of fights for him. Other matches, here's one that I got for you that was actually a big letdown. Your boy JDS is running away. Wait.
Right now, and you know everything's liable to change. Ferguson or Kevin Lee?
Ferguson.
Ferguson. Okay.
Ferguson.
He's the baddest 155er on the planet, so I think it would be silly for me to vote against him.
Yeah, I think that Kevin Lee's talking a good game, but like I was kind of trying to get at earlier was show me Kevin Lee, because you haven't shown me before other than beating Chiesa pretty soundly, but
I think this is a silly move for Kevin Lee.
I think it's a big step up, and he should have had another fight.
He is a good talker, and he's interesting in the press conferences.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have been smarter to, well, unless he's a, fighter's fighter and he doesn't mind an L on his record to get in that main card, because I think it's the Madison Square Garden card.
Kevin Lee doesn't. And that's what I really like about his attitude as well, is he was openly saying...
He'll be one of the greats with that attitude.
Yeah, and he's just like, it's going to happen. If you guys know this sport, and that's why Kevin Lee is very critical about Khabib, is he sees Khabib padding his record to not get that L, and it doesn't make... It's going to happen if you're going to do anything. I want to see
Khabib... the 160 alone is interesting for Khabib, but I would think Khabib would be fine going to a 70. I think he needs to gain weight and move up and let it be.
I think it's been proven enough times before. So
anyway, go on.
As I was getting to, your boy is running away from my man Ngannou. He's not really your boy because we both got Ngannou and we had him all day. But that's how scared the heavyweight division is getting of this man. They see him throwing hands on the Instagram. No. JDS just dropped the fight. He popped. No, was it a pop or?
He popped, but he says he did not cheat. He's like, I did not cheat.
Everybody says that. Which fighter has not said that? Maybe one. Maybe one has not said that, and it was like an older fighter.
Chael.
Yeah.
Chael's son.
But other than that, most people, like John Jones, dig pills. Guess Anderson Silva, dig pills. Other people, supplements. It's just a knock. They get a good lawyer to weasel away to get their reduction, but they knew they were taking it the whole time. We ain't dumb here. Come on, guys.
Yeah, so JDS pops. He says he still would fight Ngannou, but he stopped training for Ngannou because who knows how long the suspension will be. And Francis is calling out Overeem and said, Overeem, you have my name in your mouth once. Let's do something about it.
That's, but I mean, JDS is a big step up from Ngannou's competition level so far. Overeem is in that boat as well, but Overeem is the chinier fighter out of the two. out of JDS and Overeem.
Ngannou's the only hype train I will ride, and I believe he beats Overeem. Right now, if you had my pick, Ngannou
I
is the one to watch.
don't know. Overeem has looked really good, and I've really liked his movement and his last fights because I think that he's gotten away from for some of those knockouts. But I believe that Alistair Overeem has been knocked out more than any other heavyweight in the heavyweight division right now.
He's probably had more fights than most fighters in the UFC.
Yeah, he started when he was 18 as a professional
He's
kickboxer.
right up there with like Robbie Lawler.
He's been knocked out many a times in his career, so we've seen some of the biggest comebacks of all time against Alistair Overeem due to this chinniness. I do feel like Alistair Overeem's body's changing, and he said he's got his nutrition.
I don't believe he won his last fight, honestly.
It was but that level of experience is going to be tough for Ngannou. Like Ngannou, it's just the guys he's fought have not been close to Alistair Overeem. So I think that's like a minus 140 favorite for Alistair Overeem. Slight underdog at like plus 100 Ngannou right now. I'd say that would be the odds if I were to think about it. I don't know if they're up yet or not,
I'd
but
put Ngannou everywhere.
that'd be underdog money, and
Ngannou.
it would be worth it. Yeah.
Remember the name. He's going to be president one day.
So, any other heavyweights do you think would even take that fight? Because he was about to be on the upcoming card,
I
wasn't
don't
he?
know if there's anybody else unless Verdum steps up and takes it. But I mean, either of those guys would be healed by then. Who wants to fight Francis Ngannou? But he needs a fight, and he has to be on that card.
Right.
He's a specimen. The world needs to see him.
Or do you just debut a guy in there and throw a sheep to the slaughter? Do you just like throw some local guy that they want to win, but everyone's still going to cheer because he's going to get the ball? Because he's still going to just be pancaked on the floor. Because you got to keep that hype going.
Division. Do you do the most horrible? Did Mark Hunt just fight Ngannou, or they didn't fight? That got changed to what? Lewis? Derek Lewis? Back when?
One more time. Which ones was it?
Mark Hunt?
I think he just got a different fight. Is it against Lewis? No. He just had that fight.
Lewis.
Yeah, he just did.
Poor Mark Hunt. You got to give him Ngannou.
I think Mark Hunt might have just signed a fight against somebody who's an up-and-comer. I think, it's Mark Hunt versus Timura.
Okay.
Yeah. The striker from Sweden or whatever. So that's going to be a fun striking bout.
We want to see Francis fight again.
I agree. Timothy Johnson just got fucking... No, he just got knocked. He got finished recently.
Timothy Johnson's an alright one.
Yeah, that's not too bad, but he just fought recently.
I kind of am over Ngannou just fighting the no-name guys, though. I'm ready to watch him fight someone.
I agree.
Legit.
To give him a no-name would kind of be a disservice as well. Like, keep going this ladder up.
He's not fighting anymore as of now, so I don't know who we pick.
I think he came out of retirement recently as well.
He's not going to fight Francis Ngannou.
Not off of that. He's specifically already said he doesn't want to see black-on-black crime. But if he's got to, he's got to. But he's already turned down the Ngannou fight, if I remember, a couple months ago. Because we were calling for that fight, because that would be fun a while ago.
I'm really excited about Garbrandt Dillashaw.
Back on the books. That is a firefight with that natural animosity that you can't get. And what really sucks is
the real storyboard.
It fizzled. It really fizzled when that fight fell out. I feel like I'm not as excited as I was. They need to bring that back up.
I'm super excited. One thing I will say, I'm not as excited about Cody Garbrandt as I was.
Interesting. Why?
I would have had him in the last fight against TJ. I believe Dwayne Ludwig is onto some next level stuff. I think he is changing the game. I think things that he is teaching there and what him and Dillashaw are developing together, I think they've had this whole time to train. They haven't had to heal and then train. That leads for more time for manifestation. Dillashaw, see him using that takedown over and over again taking away all of Cody's power. I think Cody's going to be emotional in there. I don't think he's going to do at all to Dom what he did to TJ. Dom didn't look like the best Dom in there.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I do think that is the fight to make in the division. It's the most exciting fight in the division. And then either of those fighters for anybody else is going to be a fun fight. Yeah, that's a really good one. The one that's coming up...
Who do you have it right now? Right now, it's not real.
And right now, I'm going to say TJ. I'm liking what you were saying about TJ. I am in that boat that there is a lot of new stuff always coming in. And they're not sitting to a pattern when alpha male has traditionally stayed alpha male-esque. So you know what to do against them. And you already have the blueprint. You're not... Cody stayed at alpha male when TJ had just kept going to potentially the next step up in training. So yeah, great points on that. The fight that is coming up, I think this weekend after this big fight weekend, is going to be Anderson versus Kelvin. That's the one that is about to be here pretty soon.
No, that got canceled forever ago.
No. That got rescheduled.
No, because Kelvin fought fucking, what's his face?
I believe it's Kelvin Gastelum
Chris
versus...
Weidman. Kelvin, that got and he fought Weidman.
Yeah, and Kelvin just lost to Weidman by a submission, but I believe that Kelvin signed right away with Anderson Silva because he didn't have an injury.
That fight?
I believe it's like this coming up weekend. After this weekend.
No.
What's after this weekend?
There's a Sunday fight on the... Yeah, you have the technology. You have to look it up.
But either way, that fight is re-signed. There's Kelvin versus Anderson. You did not hear about this, so we're breaking it.
No, breaking news.
Woo! How do you feel about this? Because this should have already happened.
I'm okay with it. I like Kelvin a lot. I thought he was moving down to 170.
I thought so as well.
This is surprising to me. I want to know more about it because I know I feel like it's like a Sunday morning card or something. The next card.
Saturday, and it is September 2nd, and it's Stefan Struve versus Volkov.
Uh-huh.
That's the next one coming up after this fight weekend, and then after
and what time's that at?
That's on a Saturday.
What time? It just normal time?
Let me see the time real quick. It is 2 p.m. Eastern, so
and
middle
Saturday,
of the day.
2 p.m., not Sunday?
Yeah, it's saying Saturday.
Good to know.
Yeah, it's going to be on FS1 as well. Then after that's 2:15, Mighty Mouse versus Ray Borg.
I'm not excited about that at all.
Yeah, I agree. That's there could have been that TJ fight could have really been funner, but I don't want to bash on DJ because he's earned it all.
Yeah, I don't want to bash on him because he's that much better than everyone else.
Exactly. That he has to move up a weight class to do that when he's about to break a record. Anderson versus Kelvin, maybe it's at another time, but I do feel like that was recently booked. That DJ fight though is gonna have Amanda Nunes versus Shevchenko.
I cannot wait.
So that is actually going to be the highlight of 215 by far. Ray Borg is going to make a valiant effort, but the real fight is going to be that Amanda Nunes.
We got the bullet. We don't even need to talk about that.
Yeah, exactly. Predictions don't need to go day. The fight that I had the last one. Go. Do you have any other one?
Court McGee versus Sean Strickland.
Oh, Sean Strickland all day in that.
Me too.
Yeah, that's it. Court McGee's on the way out. Yeah, exactly.
All said then. Yeah.
Done. Breakdown done to what? You're welcome, audience. The other big fight that I don't think is 100% confirmed, but is like 95% done, and it is your boy Jorge Masvidal versus Josh Thompson, or freaking
Wonder Boy
Thompson.
That's done.
Wonder Bread. That's done.
That's an exciting
That's
fight.
the fight that I'm next getting ready for. You know we're over here. Team Game Bread all day.
That's scary just because of how similar T. Woods and Masvidal's styles are. Well, maybe Masvidal.
It's a 5-rounder. It's going to be a 5-rounder, which is perfect. Perfect.
That is a fun fight. I think, and it's been a while since we've seen Wonder Boy in a good fun fight. Masvidal's last showing was with Maya, so he's going to be nice and healthy. He just stood there with them on his back.
Jorge can be a little split decision-y in his career, and it's because he fights to the potential of his opponent sometimes. But as of late, he's been looking so good and out of that specific rut that he's got so many more different options. And now that people have seen how to finish Stephen Thompson, it's going to happen. And Jorge Masvidal has all of the tools. All of them.
How do you finish Stephen Thompson?
I think you can get him down and submit him. If not, you beat him striking. You saw T. Wood change the complete dynamic by hitting him with a couple shots, and a lot of those really flashy techniques just started coming a lot slower and not as often. And I think Jorge Masvidal can even ground and pound finish it, but I'm going to say it's a decision, and it's going to be a split decision just because I can see this turning into a counter-striking bout by either fighter because they both counter-strike a lot.
I see Masvidal finishing it with some ugly ground and pound elbows. Like mess.
I was thinking it like hammer fist elbows for sure. That's where he would have the advantage.
Wonder Boy's got soft skin.
So definitely that's my top fight as of late that I've heard of signing. There's also a ton of under card fighters getting signed. The contender series coming through.
One is true. I'm excited about that just because I'm a Kelvin fan.
Yeah.
I'm over Anderson, but whatever. It'll make it interesting.
Kelvin can beat Anderson.
Agree.
So that's why I think Kelvin's also like, okay, maybe I'll wait one more fight because he's going to have a fight he knows he can win, and then he goes to 170, which I think is kind of what happened with him. Getting into this weekend, the MMA gods have been smiling upon us all and definitely opened up the viewing for us so that we got a little bit more to break down for you. There's been a little bit more footage come out. Well, not footage, I guess, just more Paulie talking about how he feels bad about it. The biggest rule change, did we go over this last show or was this after our show ended up airing? That they ended up changing the glove size in the Floyd Mayweather.
That was right after our show aired.
So, late breaking. I love that term that you use. Late breaking, is that an oxymoron?
It isn't late breaking because it already happened.
Is it? But is the
like
term...
everybody already knows, late breaking would be if it just happened.
But is late breaking an oxymoron in itself? Okay. I was just wondering the other day because I was like, did that make sense? So, all right. So not late breaking. Or you already heard it a while ago, so.
Not breaking at all.
They went to 8-ounce gloves. That is going to affect the fight. That's really interesting.
How do you think it affects it?
I think that the padding size and the wall that Floyd Mayweather has is going to be smaller, so that both fighters aren't going to get as tired. Both are going to have a little bit more sting on their punches. But I feel like Floyd has fought with 8 ounces. I think the 145s, boxers divisions and below wear 8 ounces. So it's not foreign to boxing. It's just foreign for some of the heavier weight classes. They tend to go up in the sizes. So for Conor, it really just gives him a lot less padding. It really is a big difference. You can look 14-ounce gloves to 8 ounces and they look like sparring gloves. Or they look like...
I just thought they went from 10 to 8. 14 to 8 is huge.
Was it 10-ounce gloves that they had before? Or was it 14?
I don't know.
I think it was 14. So, yeah, it's either 8-ounce gloves regardless. UFC gloves, those little knuckle pads they have are 4. So, double that. That's what they got. They're stiff. They're hard. I've felt 8-ounce gloves. It makes those punches hurt a little bit more. I think this benefits Conor the most. I think both fighters gain a benefit from this, but it gives Conor a little bit more of that power. With that, you got to be able to hit a man to knock him out. And I still don't know if I'm going to... I like what people have been saying.
What have people been saying?
First, how do you feel the 8-ounce gloves? I want to know what your thoughts on the 8-ounce gloves are.
I think it benefits both fighters. The number one thing I think benefits Conor McGregor about it is that Floyd has less material to block Conor with. When he puts his gloves up to block his face and whatnot. The bad part for Conor McGregor is I think it makes Floyd that much faster to piece up Conor's body. It makes him a little more...
Yeah, like knives.
Yeah. I think it benefits him in that way as well.
Yeah.
He said he's going to come full forward, at Conor.
Yeah.
I don't believe he is. Why would he? Unless he picked Conor to do something really dramatic for his fans so he could knock somebody out for his last time.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
That's what you've been saying the whole time. This is the breakdown time. You've been saving it for now.
There is so much with this. So, where should we start with it? Why I think Conor can or can't
What's
win?
all the newest? I mean, if we're going to add to it, I know everyone has...
As of today, Krav Maga, what's his name, Kavanaugh, was on the MMA Hour, and he was talking about how they never brought in... He essentially affirmed a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about. Like, they didn't bring in other coaches because they're not trying to change a boxer. But what he was saying that I thought was next level that is going to change the game, like Conor was talking about, is his whole team is like, we're going in there to show them that boxing isn't a thing. People have been stuck in a rut for a couple centuries of, this is what you do in boxing. This is the only things you can do in boxing. If you don't do this, we frown upon it. And they're like, no, boxing is beating two men with your hands. However you can get that done, that's how you win a fight. And Kavanaugh was saying that, hey, Conor is the type of person that regardless of the rule set, he's going to come in and beat you because it's about timing, strategy, and these are all very valid points by very sound minds and people that have proven and shown that they can put game plans together and implement them. Because there's a lot of people that can put game plans together, but if you can't execute it, it don't mean shit. They've proven it against Diaz, and that's where you got to go to that second fight. They went those rounds and prove that they can adjust in a short amount of time their fight IQ in order to win a fight. That can be done, and I do think that there's going to be emulators after Conor McGregor in this. You're going to see younger boxers, trying some of these things because I think he's going to have success. And they were getting a lot of, Kavanaugh was talking about, they were getting a lot of commentary on their couple seconds they leaked. Because some boxers were saying this is trash, unsound fundamentals, but it's kind of the lucky punch theory that I have now that it ain't a lucky punch. Sound fundamentals are out the door if a punch lands. If it lands and hurts you and you can not be hit, it's because it's you hitting and not hitting.
My favorite example of the sound fundamentals argument,
yes,
my favorite example is Dan Henderson. He has the worst fundamentals.
This is the truth.
Knocks out everyone he touches.
This is the truth.
So there's just from what I know about UFC, and then what I know about boxing, my biggest argument for McGregor winning this is someone can be a BJJ friggin' black belt and submit everyone, and a wrestler can stifle that because there's holes in jiu-jitsu that only a wrestler finds. And that same thing being said, we watch every single discipline. That's why we always say styles make fights. We watch every single discipline, and every single one of the disciplines has holes.
Yes.
And the person who finds those holes is a true mixed martial artist.
Right.
And so I feel like boxing has holes of its own that only a true mixed martial artist could find. And Conor, not trying to go in there and implement a boxer.
Right.
That's his biggest win, is being a mixed martial artist in
coming
the cage
in with a brand
boxer.
new state of mind.
Yes.
Not the same old frame.
Change things, not try to go in.
The fact that they realize this is really also next level thinking.
I will go with a statement that I think that the Khaleesi built is Khaleesi said she's not trying to build a new wheel, she's trying to break the wheel.
Right.
And I think that is very GOT and very Conor McGregor-esque.
What I loved in this Kavanaugh He said that he got a text immediately once he found out that he got the fight because Ariel, like a good reporter, was asking. And he said when Kavanaugh got the text, Conor said, and this is my favorite line, I'm going to have to print it up somewhere and do something with it, but the water's becoming a cup in martial arts. As in, he's becoming the cup in boxing. He's becoming the standard. He's going to become the standard. It's the Bruce Lee MMA coming to fruition. Bruce Lee's theory of water does what water needs to do. And Conor McGregor's filling the mold of a boxer, but he can also be all these other things. He's not just a boxer. He's everything else.
One of my favorite Bruce Lee quotes, though, is "Be like water, my friend."
Exactly. Which Anderson Silva has said that a lot throughout his career, and he's one of these supposed innovators in MMA, which I agree. He brought up an era of MMA and showed really interesting, good stuff and well-rounded all the way around stuff. So
the thing with Conor that I have to also say is next level is I wouldn't even say he is our best MMA fighter, and I think most MMA hardcores would agree with that. He isn't our best. He's not out there being our best, but something that he may be the best at of all time, and it might be something that will be talked about here on out. But I mean, it's been talked about in sports forever with sports psychology and everything else. He might have the best brain we've seen in sports. The way he is playing this, his calm under pressure, he has the weight of the world on his shoulders, and imagine learning how to deal with that pressure in such a short amount of time. The only way you can learn how to deal with that pressure in a short amount of time is if you laid in your bed in your hovel of a house and stared at your roof and planned on these moments for a long, long time before they were reality. And I have to think that Conor, when he was laying on his bed, in his hovel, on his mattress on the floor, on food stamps, he pictured beating Floyd over and over and over again. And over again and over again. And he knew exactly how it'd go. And he's having all his belts shipped in from Ireland. Not just his UFC belts, all of his belts.
Yeah,
so,
his legacy, he's coming in like an old school warrior, like, these are my trophies. These are the bodies I've slain.
And what famous people, if any, will he walk in with?
People are saying the Burger King man who is it, Justin Biebs, not late breaking, other news you may have not heard of, Money Team has kicked Biebs off of his Money Team, so he's not walking out with them, but BK Man might have a little $2 million on that or something like that. I'm just saying.
You know, one thing I liked Nate Diaz in an interview of recent, and I'd give credit to, I need to start writing these things down where I see the interviews at, that he thinks Conor stands a better chance now than he ever did because he thinks that the boxing world is disrespectful of what MMA artists can do. And he's starting to see it, and he's witnessing all these guys in every gym hating on it and just laughing at the prospect of what a ridiculous circus it is. And he's like, so disrespectful. It's not a circus. Like, we'll murk you guys.
And a real fight. And not a boxing match.
The other thing he said, too. He said, the real circus would be if Floyd stepped in the octagon.
Yeah.
That would be a circus. And you're not going to see boxing in there. That's the favorite quote I like of all of this. And I don't even know who to give credit to about it. You're not going to see boxing in there. You're going to see a fight. And that's something that we haven't seen in a really long time in the ring. Right. And some of the bets, I was looking up some of the craziest bets, and like it's 155-1. Conor bites Mayweather's ear off. It's like 300-1 that the ref punches McGregor. There's some crazy bets.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's some really crazy Vegas bets. And there's somebody right now, because this fight's so crazy, that if you actually send your craziest bets to Vegas, they'll put odds on it.
Ooh.
Isn't that kind of funny?
That's fun.
Yeah.
I got to give Big Brown due. He had one of the best bets I've heard of in a long time. He had odds at wherever he was taking bets. He put $4,000 at like 26-1 or something like that of Conor McGregor will win a round or more. 1 round or more. 26-1.
His bets, after they're all said and done, his brother texted him about it because he said 2 on air, and then his brother fixed it and said, no, you just did this, and it was like, shit, 15-1 maybe. Whatever it was, his $4,000 bet, he would end up walking away with like comfortably over $100,000.
Yes.
Whatever it was like,
but they're realistic.
it was just a clean knockout, but it was like 22-1 clean knockout.
Okay.
You know, or something like that. Yeah, they were realistic. But the other thing, I'm glad you brought up Big Brown. Brendan Schaub single-handedly has taken these odds from, 22 under to negative 350.
It's been the Brendan Schaub, and he's an open dick rider, which I love. I love that he embraces it because he's getting paid. He's on the Showtime. He's on Showtime pay-per-view. Brendan Schaub.
He's I've seen him on ESPN. I've seen him with Shannon and friggin'.
He's the voice of the MMA community, whether they want it or not. He's it because he used to be a fighter, and now he's this mouth, and he's just like, no, Connor's got a shot. And if you really listen, or I initially was dismissing some of the stuff, but what he's saying is valid. And when he's saying he'll give him a shot, is Brendan flat out saying that Connor's gonna win the fight?
I almost feel like Brendan, in his heart and in his head, almost feels like Nate Diaz after a while. After arguing with enough of these guys over and over again, he says Floyd's only chance is winning by a decision, and even that is that because Vegas is a little sketchy and it's kind of Floyd's town. But I think even that's funny how much he went from, Conor could knock him out, it's a puncher's chance kind of guy, to like fully convincing himself, I believe. I do not believe Brendan just took this position to get paid, which he's gotten accused from other, I think,
analysts.
Kenny Florian and maybe Chael.
Because they didn't get paid. Because they didn't get paid. Of course they're going to talk shit because they ain't getting them chicks.
I think the most beautiful breakdown, and I hate on this guy sometimes, but I really believe it's the most beautiful breakdown of it. And if you guys get the chance, Robin Black, and he actually is super stoked because he's flying in, and Dana, it's his biggest UFC gig yet to do like a full breakdown of this fight for the UFC, and it's going to be during prime time and the whole thing. But something that he said that really makes me believe that Conor is going to win this is there's 4 zones to fighting. There's 3 zones to boxing, and there's 4 zones to fighting. And fighting has 2 zones that aren't really used a lot in boxing. And those 2 zones are the kicking zone and the inside zone. And in the inside, when you're pulling on people's biceps and you have your hand behind their neck and you're pushing down on their neck and all these little weights that you know from MMA, that in boxing you try to get out of that. But in UFC, they know how to cling in all those positions better because grappling. The defense is also in the grappling, and grappling happens a lot.
And it wears you down.
And so he feels like Conor wins position, the number 1 position, the inside position. He says Conor will easily win that position. Where Floyd's most dangerous is the number 3 position. That's the punch zone. If Floyd is really going to tag you with something, it's with a full extended reach. And the number 2, they're both pretty spotty, and they're both not going to take a lot of punches from that position. Conor, because of how quickly he can flow his shoulder out, he becomes a little more dangerous in position 2. But where Conor, a useless position for fighters, is position 4 in the kicking range. And in that kicking range, Conor, with his reach and the way that he leans forward, because in boxing they tell you, you don't put your face forward ever. That is no.
Right.
Because it is so no, and it's been no for 100 years, you don't train for that anymore. But Conor does that because he wants you to lead. He wants to see what you're going to do. He wants you to think you can punch him in the face, and then he'll throw out his shoulder. So Floyd doesn't train for the kicking zone. Conor has to, because he is, you're in the kicking zone all the time in UFC. So, and he says the only reason Floyd's going to make it to 4 is because he gets 10 seconds and he can't crawl all over him the second he knocks him down. I don't know. I've totally turned. I feel like it's rookie to say. I just don't buy the hype. You can play a defensive fighting game in boxing because that's all they train for. But in the UFC, you can't always be a Tyron Woodley. You can't always be a Tyron Woodley. And Conor is a defensive fighter. He'll get you getting back.
Yeah, he can be. He can be very elusive, and
Is he in Floyd's head?
I don't think you can be in Floyd's head. I think that these are both two rocks, like a rock in a hard place. Like both of these guys are just. It's gonna take something drastic, like a Daniel Cormier thought he was gonna win that fight until he got finished, and then you have to believe it. So I don't think either of these fighters think that they're gonna lose for either second, and it's gonna be fun to see who wins. So, if Floyd had a shot, what would you say Floyd's shot is?
It's a decision only.
How about do you think he'd end up winning it?
I actually, when I first started this whole thing, thinking about it, I thought Conor could never win a decision. Now I think MMA is so screwy. If he gets a comfortable, weird 4 rounds at the beginning, somewhere in the first 6, some weird stuff happens that he lands the bigger punch, even though Floyd lands more. His is more devastating with crowd reaction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then he takes home the last 2, which is very McGregor style. We've even seen it in the Nate fights where all of a sudden he comes back to life the last 2 minutes of the fight. I think Conor, I don't know where Floyd defensively, if Conor figures out, you know how you always say you'll be able to tell how the fight goes by the first takedown? I'll be able to tell how the fight goes by the first time Conor has Floyd up against the ropes. Conor has Floyd up against the ropes. That's how I'll be able to tell.
Right.
Floyd's in his danger spot, I'll be able, and where he usually lays danger, he leans on the ropes and he can tag another boxer a lot doing that. I'll be able to tell how Conor deals with
what the fight's going to turn out to be.
I'm so intrigued.
I am very intrigued as well. So I feel like I have been a constant, Floyd Mayweather. Floyd Mayweather, yeah. McGregor naysayer, Floyd Mayweather rider. I don't like Floyd Mayweather as a person. I don't think that he's the best person in the world, but it's just, I can't get around that they're going into his arena in his rules, and I really admire Conor McGregor's tenacity and that he's coming in with that mindset, because I think that if there's a way to beat a Floyd Mayweather where he's at compared in abilities, that it's going to take something like this where it's going to be a heavy pressure, and then a just constant not breathing, because I feel like a lot of people don't cut corners well. And it's been notorious in boxing, like the great corner cutters have always been champions, and it's just Floyd can do that, and I think Conor can do that as well in a ring potentially. I really like that with Conor real quick. Even the coach, back to the Arrow Hawani show that we were talking about earlier, the coach was talking about how Kavanaugh that Paulie went there to get beat up as well. Like Kavanaugh affirmed it, like, no, that was just a fight. Like, we just brought Paulie in to see if our stuff would work against the boxer. And guess what? It did. And there's proof. What they're trying out is going to work because...
And apparently the footage that they tried to give to Showtime for Conor's reel, Showtime turned it down because they didn't want Paulie to look bad. So Dana's like, F you, I'm going to release it myself.
That's what I did hear that.
And everybody says, everybody from the inside, I've heard it now on, Brennan Schaub said it on the Big Brown Breakdown, Brian Callen said it on Fighter and the Kid, Joe Rogan's talked about it, somebody else with Joe Rogan, pretty much Paulie got his ass beat for 12 rounds.
Yeah, that's what the word on the street is.
Yeah, no matter how out of shape, I mean, an ex-boxer, something.
Yeah.
I mean, for what everybody just thought that Conor was going to go in and get spanked by every boxer, that because he couldn't even win, he couldn't even beat
the fact that he's a pro, or a championship level, because Paulie was a championship level boxer, and Conor did anything against him, it should be a disgrace to boxers the way that they're treating it. Back to Floyd, back to why I am gonna stay on the Floyd bandwagon. Floyd Mayweather has been doing this since he's a child. I'm not gonna go over that a bunch. What I'm gonna go into is what he notoriously does in his promotions. Floyd Mayweather always says, man, this guy has kind of a shot. the public knows this guy ain't got no shot. Man, this guy kind of has a shot. My hands have been kind of hurting. My knee's a little bit sore. I'm not training like I used to. Says it before every fight, and then he comes out looking.
This time he's
good.
not saying that at all. He's like, I never hurt my hands are fine.
Yeah.
My hands
I never
are
got
fine.
knocked out.
Yeah,
I never got knocked
I'll have smaller gloves. I'm gonna come at him. It's gonna be pressure.
So you think that Conor maybe's getting underneath that skin?
I think a little bit. Something about the horsehair gloves really got to him. Like nobody else brought it up before.
No one questioned him because he was Floyd
The
Mayweather.
Mexican gloves, or gloves not from Mexico, or was it Mexico only?
Yeah, not Mexican gloves, and they couldn't be horsehair. So
Yeah. Interesting. So, what's your prediction?
My prediction
for the betting man out
for
there,
the betting
or
man,
women?
I'm gonna say people for the betting people out there.
Yeah, exactly. For those who
Floyd
want to
Mayweather
name
via
without
decision.
binary.
Exactly, whether you got a genders.
Yeah, you don't. Who cares about your gender?
Yeah, whatever.
Put your dick away, sir. Put your dick away.
Yeah, do you want a sandwich? You got to put it away if you want a sandwich. You got to put it away if you want to. We're at Subway, dude. Come on. So, Floyd Mayweather decision. It's going to be just a lot of moving around the ring constantly, where it's going to be a lot of circling. I think that this may not be as exciting as everybody thinks it is, just because Floyd Mayweather fights tend to be, if it does turn into a grappling match, it's going to look like Conor being a big brother kind of tearing around a little brother, where Floyd Mayweather's legs are going to be bouncing around and stuff like that's going to happen. But I don't think that it's going to be enough to win a decision in Las Vegas.
How many rounds does Conor get?
I think Conor, though, this is what has changed in my overall opinion. I thought it was going to be 12-0 Floyd Mayweather. Where now I think Conor can get 2 to 3 rounds. And in those two to 3 rounds, of the first 2 to 3 rounds, can he knock him out? Anybody can knock anybody out. And Conor has the type
So
of
if
power.
Conor knocks him out, no surprise. Or are you stunned out of your mind
Well,
that you knew the biggest sports star ever at the beginning of his career? Like it'll feel like you're, when you listen to an album and like maybe
everyone else is
like you know this album,
Oh,
it's been out like maybe for 2 years, you know it by heart. No one knows this fucking band. You went and saw them at a really small venue, you love them, you know every song, you have their album that came out before this that you can only get in Europe. No one knows. All of a sudden, one song on the radio, and people act like they know your favorite band. This is
you don't
this
know
is my
this song.
jam. Yeah,
you don't know this fighter. My brother used to watch this guy back when they were fighting with the little underwear on.
So that's how I feel about Conor. Like all of a sudden, I hear
Exactly.
people talking about my favorite song. Like, and not that Conor was my favorite fighter, but he was definitely one of them.
Yeah,
and I hear
agreed.
it's like all these people with Conor's name on their lips, and it's so crazy.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Why would he ever take a UFC fight again, though? A boxing one's so
That's
much
kind
less
of what I
brutal.
was getting at. Like, he's got that fight with Paulie coming up right after this. The way
I
that
don't
they've been
think
talking
so.
about it,
I don't think
it's not
Paulie's
as
any
it's not
name
as
at
big
all.
money. Yeah, it's the money's not going to be there.
I think Nate Diaz 3 is a bigger name than Paulie.
And I think that Max Connor's a bigger fight than, well, personally as a fight fan, I think Max Connor is the fight to be had. But
If Conor wants
but
to get
that's
back down to
145.
145,
Yeah.
I don't think he ever wants to do that again.
True.
I think him and
But
Nate
then
will take a fat boy fight just to not have to cut.
Tony and Lee are about to fight. So no, they could fight. No. Tony, I would say, versus Conor. That's the fight. Tony versus Conor.
agree.
Think about that fight.
Obviously,
Jeez, why are we not talking about
easily
that?
should be Ferguson Conor.
Why are we talking about that fucking fight? God
never been
damn.
Khabib ever's name.
Imagine the pressure and the angles and the rolls
I've
and
said
the
all
slips.
this forever.
Jesus Christ.
It should have always been Tony and Conor.
Yeah.
It should have never even Khabib's
Floyd.
name should have never even been in the mix.
Woo.
Should have always been Tony Conor. But I just feel, why would you fight Tony friggin' Ferguson when you could fight Nate Diaz for 18 times the amount of money?
With a fight you can win.
Yeah.
But that's the same thing with
Who cares about belts anymore, honestly?
yeah. It's about the money, especially with what some of these older fighters are showing with the wear and tear on their bodies and nobody picking up the bill.
Word.
So
My final, I don't think it's going to be... I want to go with Mystic Mac and say under 4. I think it's going to happen in 6. I think it's going to be a slow adding up of pressure. Floyd has a gas tank. He has never felt the kind of pressure he's going to feel from McGregor inside the boxing ring. In ways not from punches and hanging ons. It's going to, like, when they get, I feel like the first 2 rounds could be boring. The way we see a UFC fight first round go where they kick apart a leg. You don't see your favorite punches thrown because they're just taking apart that lead leg in the whole first round. And then you see them in the second round start to open up when they think the other guy doesn't have the power to knock him out as much.
Right.
I feel like we're going to see that hanging on Floyd for the first 2 rounds to weaken him up a little bit so Conor will move in for the shot. I don't think Conor has a glass jaw either.
No, I agree. And I don't think that Floyd
Conor,
has the
KO
knockout.
round 6.
Woo! Finish. There's money to be made on that bet.
Round 6. I used to
Because
say
there's
1,
no
2, 3,
money
4.
decision Floyd Mayweather. You're not getting good odds on that.
And I did
at
put
all
up something
whatsoever.
on Twitter, you guys. Speaking of Twitter, follow us on Twitter at Lesbo and the Bean. Subscribe to us everywhere for our RSS feed so you can download it into your favorite podcast player. But one thing on Twitter that I put up is the odds from the beginning to the end of what they were when the fight was talked about in November. It was like
When we
crazy
talked about
odds.
when we were talking about
Way
it?
back in November.
Yep.
Yeah, before we had our like Patreon or some shit.
Yeah,
or
we started a
GoFundMe.
GoFundMe because we wanted this fight to go on. Just
So
if you don't
bad.
remember this, audience, go back and listen.
Yeah, I guess I don't have anything else to say today. It is Maymac all day. I'm going to walk out of here with my monkey arms hanging. My monkey arms hanging. My monkey arms
Me
hanging.
too. It's gonna be a hell of a weekend. Enjoy it, y'all.
If it's crazy enough, we could bring you another cast.
Oh yeah.
If
that's
Conor
true.
wins, I almost feel like if Conor wins, we'll bring you another cast.
Ooh. What if he loses?
Then we'll see you Monday. So yeah, for all things Lesbo and the Bean, go to lesboandthebean.com.
Let's move the beat.